Under the endless blue sky of the Eurasian steppe, a sound rises, thousands of horses pounding the earth like a heartbeat of war. The banners of the Mongol Empire ripple in the wind, their riders scanning the horizon for a new enemy. But this time, what awaits them is not another medieval army. It's the 21st century, and their opponent is a modern mechanized force armed with tanks, drones, jets, and satellites. What would happen if a modern army faced the Mongol Empire at its peak? Let's find out. The year is 1227, the height of Genghis Khan's empire, stretching from the Pacific Ocean to the Caspian Sea. An empire built on speed, discipline, and terror. Now imagine, through a freak rip in time, an entire modern combined arms brigade minus 5,000 soldiers, equipped with Abrams tanks, Apache helicopters, artillery, infantry fighting vehicles, and UAV reconnaissance, appears somewhere on the Mongolian steppe. They're facing nearly 200,000 Mongol horsemen, the deadliest pre-gunpowder army in human history. Both sides have one mission: total annihilation. To understand the clash, you have to know why the Mongols were unstoppable. They weren't just barbarians on horseback. They were a logistical machine. Each warrior carried 3 to 4 horses, allowing them to cover 80 to 100 miles a day, something no medieval army could match. They lived off the land, drinking horse milk, eating dried meat, and needing no supply line. Their compound bows, made from horn and sinew, could pierce armor from 300 yards away. And their tactics, psychological warfare, feigned retreats, encirclement, and shock raids, broke empires like China and Persia. But here's the catch: the Mongols thrived on mobility and deception. They had no concept of mechanized armor, radar, or long-range explosives. To face a modern army, they'd be walking, or rather riding, into the age of hellfire and steel. It begins at dawn. A Mongol scout spots strange metallic beasts moving across the plains, rumbling machines with no horses pulling them. He gallops back to Genghis Khan's camp, reporting that iron monsters crawl toward them, breathing smoke. Within hours, the Khan's generals assemble, Subutai, Jib, and others, deciding to surround the strange invaders. The Mongols, known for their perfect coordination through signal flags and horns, begin to spread across the horizon to 50,000 riders forming a crescent around the modern brigade. Inside the command tent of the modern army, drone footage shows massive movement, waves of horsemen stretching as far as sensors can detect. The commander issues the first order: deploy perimeter defense. Drones up. Artillery ready. Infantry hold fire until visual contact. As the Mongols close in, they hear a sound they've never heard before, a high-pitched whine in the sky. It's a drone, sending live feed back to the commander's tablet. Seconds later, coordinates lock. And then, the first artillery barrage begins. Shells fall among the horsemen like thunderbolts from the heavens. The steppe erupts in fire. Horses scatter, warriors scream. The Mongols have no idea what's happening. For the first time in their existence, they're facing weapons beyond their imagination. Within minutes, thousands are dead. But the Mongols are not ordinary men. They don't flee yet, they adapt. Subutai, the mastermind of dozens of successful campaigns, orders the troops to disperse into smaller units, just as he did against fortified Chinese cities. They split into 20,000-man groups, each attacking from different directions. Their goal: overwhelm the modern army's supply lines, flank their tanks, and ambush their rear units. But there's a problem. There are no supply lines. The modern army runs on fuel and logistics, yes, but everything is contained within armored vehicles. They don't move tents, horses, or food wagons. The Mongols' traditional strategy, cutting off resources, fails. When they charge again, Apache helicopters rise above the plains, their rotors slicing the air. The Mongols look up in horror, giant birds of metal hovering silently, spitting death through hellfire missiles. Entire cavalry formations vanish in seconds, yet the Mongols keep coming. Their numbers seem endless. Their arrows rain down, thousands striking tank armor, pinging uselessly off steel. But even modern soldiers are not gods. The Mongols' sheer numbers and endurance begin to press the advantage. They start finding weak points: isolated infantry patrols, low-flying helicopters, and unguarded supply convoys. And here's where things get interesting. The Mongols' communication system, based on smoke signals, drums, and relays, begins to outpace the modern army's radio confusion. They move faster, coordinate wider, and start encircling smaller detachments. The steppe becomes the great equalizer. Dust storms roll in. GPS systems start failing. Drones lose signal in the magnetic interference of Mongolia's vast emptiness. The modern army, though technologically superior, begins to suffer from logistical exhaustion. Fuel dwindles, ammunition drops. Each Abrams tank burns hundreds of gallons per day. There's no resupply. Meanwhile, the Mongols thrive. They drink horse blood, move silently, and sleep under the stars. They know every hill, every stream. Days turn into weeks. The modern commander realizes technology wins battles, but endurance wins wars. To survive, the modern army adapts. They establish a fortified base, guarded by tanks and anti-air systems. They limit movement to save fuel, switching to defensive warfare. The Mongols, eager to test this fortress, launch massive assaults minus 100,000 horsemen thundering across open fields. But machine guns, artillery, and drones mow them down by the thousands. The ground becomes a wasteland of fire and smoke. Eventually, even Genghis Khan himself approaches the battlefield, witnessing weapons that sound like thunder and kill without arrows. His advisors urge retreat, calling it the wrath of the heavens, but the Khan refuses. He plans one final strategy: night infiltration. Using captured equipment, the Mongols attack at dusk. They light thousands of fires to create confusion, and small elite units sneak in, cutting throats, sabotaging vehicles, and stealing rifles. In chaos, they actually succeed. Dozens of soldiers die before reinforcements arrive. For the first time, the modern army feels fear. Weeks pass. Fuel is nearly gone. Ammunition is low. Communication with satellites fades due to dust storms. The modern commander realizes they're stranded. No extraction, no backup. The Mongols sense weakness. They close in once more, wave after wave. Then comes the final stand. Tanks line up. Machine guns overheat. Drones are down to their last batteries. And yet, every modern soldier fights on, with precision, training, and the instinct to survive. The last Apache helicopter hovers low, firing rockets until it runs dry, then crashes in a plume of fire. The Mongols roar, charging through the flames. But when they reach the armored line, the smell of burnt metal and blood fills the air. Tens of thousands of them lie dead, but the modern army too is crippled. No fuel, no ammo. Only bayonets and sidearms remain. The final melee begins, horsemen versus rifles, swords versus steel. When dawn breaks, silence covers the steppe. Bodies, ancient and modern, lie mixed together. A few tanks still stand, silent and empty. Genghis Khan rides through the ruins, his armor scorched, his army broken yet unbowed. He looks upon the wreckage and mutters to his generals, "If men wield this kind of fire in their hands, one day the world itself will burn." So who wins? If we talk battlefield by battle, the modern army dominates. With drones, jets, and artillery, they'd obliterate the Mongols' formations with minimal losses. But if this became a long-term war, the Mongols might outlast them. Once fuel runs dry and tech collapses, it becomes a fight of endurance, and the Mongols were masters of that. In other words, short war gives modern army wins. Long war gives Mongols adapt and conquer. The true victor isn't decided by firepower, it's decided by time. As smoke fades over the Mongolian plains, the question remains, could humanity's most advanced warriors truly defeat history's greatest conquerors? Or would the ghosts of the steppe remind us that even technology has limits? Because in the end, every empire, no matter how modern, can still fall to time, nature, and willpower. If you enjoyed this realistic alternate history, hit subscribe for more What If History Fought Back stories and comment below. Who should the modern army face next? The Roman legion, the Viking horde, or the Egyptian pharaohs?